All right, welcome aboard, everybody. My name is Doobyis. This is a segment that I like to call Fly in Formation. It's an offshoot of a mix show that I do called After the Smoke is Clear. If you don't know about that, you should go on over, check out the mixes. I do 57-minute long, unedited mixes every week, independent hip hop from coast to coast. I just try to spread love and spread the spotlight on different scenes across the map. For the first few seasons that I was doing After the Smoke is Clear, I wasn't really doing the whole content push too crazy. I was posting them for seasons 2 and season 3. But now for season 4, I'm 12 episodes into season 4, and I kind of, along with the interviews I've been doing for Fly Information, I've really been feeling like it's time to try to start getting some traction and getting the show into more people's ears, in front of more people. So lately, I've been over on TikTok doing like clips from these interviews and trying to push one of those a day at least. So that's my new social media regime. But today, joining me is somebody whose social media grind is crazy. Spitty out of Brampton, Ontario. Shouts out, Spitty. How you doing, man?
Appreciate you having me on, bro. Much love to everyone out there listening and watching. I'm blessed, man. Sun shining out here. The weather is getting pretty nice, and yeah, summertime's always my favorite season. So yeah, life's looking good right now.
Beautiful, man. Yeah, yeah. So like I said, man, your social promo grind is on fire recently. I know. Most artists that I have on here, I talk to them about like a project that they've recently put out. Um, with you, I know that kind of you have been dropping music. You're pretty much constantly dropping music, but I'd like to think that your like bigger project was kind of this year-long mission that I've seen you talk about a little bit on your social media. So I just wanted to get you to elaborate a little bit on that. Can you tell us about this year-long goal you set for yourself?
Sure, for sure. So to be honest, it really dates back, a decade ago when I started making music. I've just been trying to really make it my full-time career and passion, like to just do music. But it never went viral, never like blew up just like that or got like some major deal. So I went to school, got a tech job, got a bachelor's of computer science, was working in tech for a few years. And I had this idea that, eventually if I don't blow up, I'm gonna just quit my full-time job, go all in on the music and give myself 1 year to just pursue the music. I'll have built up savings so I can do it without having to work like another job or a 9 to 5 or whatever side gig.
Right.
And yeah, that's what happened last May. We're almost pulling up. Well, okay, so we're pulling up on like a year on when I was actually quit, but in reality, what I'd given myself was till my next birthday, which is in August. So right now, I have about no, 3 months and a bit and some change till my birthday.
Nice.
And the idea is not to blow up or go viral or whatever anymore. The idea is really to just be sustainable off music to generate different sources of income through music and merch and shows and anything related to that,
Yeah.
and just try to make a living off music so that I can keep doing it without having to put my time and energy into some other job that doesn't really align with my end goals.
That
So
sounds
that's
like
where
the
we're at right
dream,
now.
man. Yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds like the dream. I think so many artists across the country want that to be where they get to with music, right? Like, I talk to people, and I'm learning that very few people think they're going to blow up and be the next big star, but a lot of people have seen that you can be kind of, I don't like saying local level, but a national level presence on the hip hop industry and even international too. Of course, these guys are touring the States and Europe and stuff too. But to a level where when they drop an album, there are people picking it up on Bandcamp to support it. When they do a show, there are people coming out to see it, and people in different cities across the country know who they are. And I think that that's a level of sustainability in artistry and in being a musician that a lot of people kind of overlook is there, especially maybe in hip hop. In hip hop, we like to kind of think that if you're not like top of the billboards, you're not doing it right. Like it's easy to shit on like, oh, the SoundCloud rapper or whatever who's not popping like that. But in reality, like there are a lot of guys who are SoundCloud rappers. Basically, it's Spotify now, but it's pretty much the same deal, right? Who are putting out music and can sustain, just because, like you said, different revenues. You've got streams coming in, maybe an ad here or there that is paying for your music to use it or whatever. There's all sorts of stuff like that, like placements that people can get into. Um, Today, actually, on social media, I saw a post from a guy who makes like drum loops, like he does like live drums or whatever, and he was talking about how like it's a bad business strategy to start selling courses that give away your own secrets of how you do the thing you do. So I wanted to ask, like, before we even start this interview up too much, where do you fall on that idea? Like, are you how close to the chest do you keep the cards of your own moves in the industry and stuff? Are you here to tell artists and kind of do the each one teach one thing, or yeah, what's your opinion there, man?
I think for me, for sure, I'm on the other side where I don't really mind giving away the free game and showing people how I've done it because I'm pretty transparent with my journey, telling people that I quit my job or that I was working a job while doing music. A lot of people don't even discuss the things that they do that are outside of music when they're pushing that career, even though most of us are not living just off that money. So I think for me, I'm definitely open to sharing that journey and all those tips and advice because the way I see it is like no one's gonna match my work ethic or
Yeah.
like have my brain or my personalities. Even if they try to copy my video, try to copy my song or whatever, it's never gonna be the exact same or even line up. So,
No,
they
as long
say
as
like
you're the guy writing your lyrics, nobody's gonna step up and do something exactly the way you're gonna do it. Yeah.
exactly. And they say imitation's a form of flattery, so I'm not
Hell
mad
yeah.
at it.
Hell yeah, man. Um, so like honestly, it kind of blows my mind how much content you put out over the past year. I was aware of you prior to the past year, but over this past year, it's been on another level, man. So I just wanted to ask you, like, what is a day in the life of Spitty in your year off of work where you're pursuing this full time? What does the average day shape up to? Are you, yeah, what are you doing with your time?
Yeah, I've really streamlined and like organized my time now. So I basically wake up, get some kind of chores out of the way, like working out, exercise, get my mental state right, body right, and then jump straight into the content. So for me, about a quarter of my following on Instagram is actually from out in South Asia. So because of that, my timing that's best is actually early in the day, like 11 a.m., 12 p.m. So that's one of the first things I do is I get the post ready, post it, engage with people, spend that early morning just doing a lot of my content, get that out of the way. And then the afternoon is like nowadays I apply for my own grants. So I'm writing answering grant questions. I'm creating new video content, either shooting it or editing it.
Yeah.
I also, of course, record the music or I'm writing music. And that kind of takes up the chunk of the middle part of the day. And then at night, I'm going to Toronto or going to different events in Brampton, Saga, uh, open mics, concerts, networking events, showcases, either my own or other people in the community, just trying to build a community, connect with everybody, and keep pushing. So probably go to Toronto like 4 times a week, and other days I'm either at the studio or doing something at night. And yeah, that's kind of just the process. In between, there's music video shoots and other things that pop up for sure.
Busy, man. Yeah. So, as kind of a follow up to that, like, what would you say the split that you do between time spent creating, I guess, let's say music specifically, because I mean, creating the rest of the content takes time too, but time spent between creating music and creating the rest of the content, um, which
Man,
do you put more effort into these days?
sadly, the I tell people nowadays like I'm more of a video editor than a rapper these days. If you just looked at the work I'm doing on paper, because it takes a lot of time and the music stuff, like I tell everyone this too, like if you're an artist, like the music stuff's fun, it's easy. Like that's what we came into it to do. Like that's always gonna be the enjoyable part. Everything else around it, that's the hard part that actually takes work and like extra thought. Because if you're really an artist and you have a lot of ideas, like I can come up with songs all day, but the other things I just take more tedious efforts or more time into like other avenues of writing these grant applications, doing this video editing. It's a longer process. So at this point, it's honestly sadly more like a 75-25 or 80-20, leaning towards kind of the administrative technical stuff around
Yeah.
the actual creative part.
Yeah, that makes sense, man. I think like a lot of artists lack that discipline to do that. A lot of guys say at least a lot of the ones I've been talking to have been saying stuff like, that they're doing social media, but that they're happy to have this label or that label kind of handle most of their promotional push or whatever. So, kudos to you for doing it all independent, man. I think that's definitely one thing that separates artists from one another. Because, like, I think it's something like 60,000 songs a day to Spotify at this point.
Yeah.
Even for me, like, I'm trying to listen to pretty much all the hip hop that comes out across Canada every week. And, like, it's hours and hours and hours of music. I could listen to 8-9 hours worth of new Canadian hip hop every week. So I got to whittle that down and kind of make it into 4 hours that I pick the best from or whatever. But part of the decision making process there is like, which of these people are pushing, like you are, right? So it does, I think, go a long ways to have that kind of social media profile that people see you're taking it that seriously, right? I was surprised to hear you just say that you're a video editor, though, honestly, because I mean, like, kind of surprised, but I guess kind of not surprised either, because artists have to do everything these days. But a lot of people who I see who have that social media presence on a level that you do have got somebody following them around with a camera, editing videos for them, making social media posts for them, all that stuff. I wanted to ask, like, do you have a team like that, or are you got this all on your back yourself?
It's pretty much me. I've been slowly starting to build a team out and trying to work with some people. When it comes to filming, if I want to shoot somewhere downtown or shoot somewhere that's out of my house or somewhere else, like I'll just throw up a story or ask my friends, and like usually I can find someone who can help out. So I'm grateful to have like a network of people who are down to help, or like I'll hit up an artist and say like, yo, let's like I'll shoot you some content, you shoot me some content. We'll just do like a little swap.
Yeah.
But editing, one thing is like you were mentioning about how people have labels or other people doing it. I think if I started that way, it might have been a different story. But now I'm so used to like my personal touch and like style of editing, and like the way the story is being told is in my voice, my personality. Like it's hard for me to just like let that go to someone else. So right now I am trying to work with some editors. The way I'm kind of doing it is letting them do one edit, and then I take that and sort of chop it down a little more into my style. So it's a little bit of like a balance, but
Right.
slowly the team is building. It's been a process, but honestly, over the years, like looking back, I'm really grateful that I've been doing it, because now, you know, I've been doing editing for many years, but now, especially over the last few, it's become so key with like reels and that short form content. Like I do almost
Yeah.
like daily, not almost, I basically do daily content, and it takes time, and the more you practice you have, the easier it becomes.
Here's a question, just kind of deep content creator question. Do you schedule posts? Do you sit back on one day of the week and schedule everything across the rest of the week? Or are you, I mean, maybe since it's kind of your day to day job as well, you can get away with doing one post a day and actually put that in the schedule, you know?
So I have a schedule in terms of like what I'm gonna post lined up for the next week or two, always,
Okay.
since this year at least. And the reason I don't schedule the post itself is because I like to engage with the first people who comment or share or engage with the post itself. So if I just scheduled it, I might forget to actually check the app and like
Right. It's been
engage with the
posted for three
commenters.
hours and nobody's
Yeah,
getting
reply to
replies.
the people
Yeah.
who shared it and that. So that's why for the first, 20, 30 minutes, maybe an hour, depends how much time I have. I just try to like be on the app and do it. That's mainly for Instagram, TikTok, and
Yeah.
I just let it do its thing. And YouTube, I schedule, because YouTube, they're shorts. I feel like they're still working it out. And I have videos randomly get a couple thousand, some get like a few hundred. So I just let YouTube do its thing. But Instagram for sure is my main platform. And I like to engage with the people who are like right there ready.
Word. You mentioned also that you've got a lot of fan base out in South Asia, so you've got to time your post differently. That's like, I haven't even fucking thought of that, man. Like, I mean, I guess I've read it in some articles or whatever, but like at this point, I'm just trying to put out one a day, and whatever time it goes online is what time it's going to go online. And I guess maybe I'll see which works best. But like, have you actually noticed then that that is a big thing? What time you're posting, and does it matter across all the platforms, or is it different on different platforms?
It's different on different platforms. On all the platforms, you can actually go into the analytics, and it'll tell you what day of the week is the best and what time slot within each day is the best. So for my Instagram, that's actually what it shows me is 12 p.m. is the best, but I actually post before 12 p.m. Just because the earlier is the better. And even like if you do the math, like 10 a.m. here is something like I think like 8 p.m. over there, so it's already getting pretty late.
Yeah.
Like most people over here, like in Canada, they post their time somewhere between like 3 and 6 because it's kind of when people are getting off work and have time to check what's popping. But for me, I think the early time works because for people here, it's like their lunch break, and then for people over there, it's like it's a little late for the evening. But if I posted too early, it would be too early for the people here, like waking up and seeing some crazy rap. Like it's little strategies like that, like you got to think about. Think, if you were here and you tried to post at 3 a.m., it's just not going to work the same
Right.
way if you posted at 3 p.m. because of the number of people on the app. Each app kind of uses the first few people who engage as like a test to see if it should push it to more people.
Right.
And
if they're hitting like or if they're sharing it right off the bat, then it'll more likely show it to more people. It tricks the algorithm into thinking this is going to be a popular post, right?
exactly. And the more I get into becoming more of like just a content creator and entertainer, I find the schedule helps people just know like, oh yeah, Spitty probably drops something in the morning every day, you know? So if people even go to check my profile, I don't know if they do, but I'm sure some people go check to see if I dropped anything new. They know like, oh, there should be something here now.
Yeah, word. Speaking of new stuff that you dropped, most recent project was Peel Volume 3, right? That's the
Yes,
one
sir. That just came out 2 weeks ago.
a few
Yeah.
weeks ago. Yeah, yeah. So I've played a couple tracks off of there. I just played Village on, I think the last mix, maybe episode 11 of Attic, something
Yeah,
like
you
that.
mentioned that on Instagram that you were liking that one. So
Yeah, man, that's the jam. I really like the kind of like community driven message or whatever. Work for yourself. I forget the exact bar, but you say like work for yourself, but it takes a village or whatever.
yeah, yeah.
And
Live for
go in and
yourself, but no, it takes a village. Yeah.
yeah, man, I think that that's a really good message. I think a lot of people look at hip hop like it's this contact competitive sport where we've all got to try to slice each other's heads off and be the last one standing. And it's like I think that ends up being self-defeating a lot of the time. Like, I can appreciate that yeah, it was built off of battle raps and the braggadocio is a big thing and that everybody wants to think of themselves as the best just on an artistic level or whatever. And you should. If you're making art that you don't think is the best, fucking make it different so you think it is better, right? But I think that it's good to promote that community aspect too, man. So yeah, I really liked that one. But can you tell me about the Peel series in general? Because this is Peel Volume 3. Peel Volume 2, I definitely played on AtSick when it was, I think it came out 2022, right? Last year?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I played some tracks off of there. And then you've just got singles all the time, so it's tough to keep up with. But can you just talk about the Peel series? When did Peel Volume 1 come out?
Yeah, so Peel Volume One. I'm actually ironically wearing the Peel Volume One album art right here
No.
on my shirt.
There it is.
That's all the artists featured on it. So Peel
Nice.
Volume One came out in June of last year, or July of last year, and Peel Volume Two came out in October last year. The initial idea was actually a full album of 9 songs because Peel is area code 5, so a little play on that. 9 songs, have a bunch of artists on there. And then just with the logistics, it was taking a little bit of time to get all those songs done in time for last summer. So I was like, you know what? We have 3 songs that were kind of the first batch. Let's do those as a 3-track EP, and then we'll just repeat the process 2 more times. 3 times 3 is still 9. It still adds up. And honestly, like when you're here in the GTA, Greater Toronto area, the main focus is that middle letter, the Toronto part. Everyone knows about Toronto and focuses on it, but people sleep on how much of the talent is actually based out some of the other suburbs or cities that are
Yeah.
close by, but they don't still have enough of a identity to really recognize themselves. So I just wanted to put the spotlight on Peel, which is the region for Mississauga, Brampton, and Caledon, 3 cities
Okay.
directly west of Toronto. And all the artists on all 3 tapes are exclusively from that region. Almost all the production is exclusively from there, and it was all recorded in there too. So just really just supporting the scene and yeah, just giving some spotlights to some of my friends who are artists, some people who I got to work with for the first time who are a bit bigger than me. And now the trilogy is complete, so we're on to, next project.
Next project. Can you give us an idea what that next project's gonna be? Are you going for a full length project this time, or what's the plan?
So it should be a full length project, but basically what it initially happened was I put out my debut album in 2021, Full Circle, and then after that I wanted to do more collaborative work. So I had 2 ideas. One was the Peel album, which is my local community, and then one was for the community of my background and the people in South Asia. So the second project is the collaborative South Asian album with mostly South Asian artists from Canada, but it's gonna be different languages, different genres mixed in, and I'm sort of executive producing, curating it, kind of like Kendrick Lamar on the Black Panther soundtrack. I think that's a good example where I'll be on each track a little bit here and there, maybe more on some tracks and less on others, but
Yeah.
it'll be my vision, but it'll be a big community project. And actually, we got that funded by the Canada Council for the Arts. So
Nice.
looking forward to, well, we're putting it together, looking forward to finishing that and getting it out hopefully for the fall this year.
Dope. So, I mean, when you talk about like we're putting music together, do you have like a crew of specific people you're normally working with? You mentioned, you know, some of your homies you got to work with there or whatever. Do they have music up online? Because one thing I always do on this show too is try to just ask artists about their local community and about who from it people should pay attention to. So yeah, if you got any shouts to make to those guys, you know, I'm always all ears myself trying to find new music to play too.
For sure, for sure. The lead single off Peel Volume 3, which came out in March, was up now, featuring Everything Oshan. He's from Brampton too. He's a Nigerian Canadian rapper. He's got some big tracks too. And yeah, I just love his energy. He was going off. So he's one for sure. Another guy who's been on a bunch, we have like over 5 tracks together, I think, on Spotify. Jaren Alab, he's also from
Yeah,
Brampton. He's a Tamil Canadian artist, and he actually does a lot of, which I don't do, but he does a lot of mixing English and Tamil together,
right.
and it's like it's really crazy, seamless flows. So those are two off the top of my head for sure that you should
Dope,
definitely
man.
check out.
Yeah, appreciate it. Appreciate it. And I've worked with like Blackfoot artists here in Treaty Seven territory who have been able to switch back and forth and like you know being able to rap bilingual like that and then
Crazy.
seamlessly tie it together. Yeah, man, it is really crazy. I definitely approve of artists doing that. As long as there's some English in there, it might get played on Hatsick, you know. If
Yeah,
I can feel
my
the
boy Jared
flow
always
anyway.
mixes some English because he doesn't just do it fully, but
Yeah, yeah, weird.
that
Um,
flavor.
yeah, hell yeah, man. So, what was the recording process like for most of your most recent music? Are you home recording? Or are you going into studio?
I go to the studio. It's sort of a process I've gotten used to with just the right engineer setting up the right vibe. And honestly, I've never been too into the technical aspect of dealing with the EQ and the compression and all those things. So I really just like to let them sort of handle that and me just focus on the music and recording my part.
Yeah,
And so yeah, I go to the stew. There's one studio. It's actually called The Stew. It's in Mississauga, run by my boy Levi. I was
nice.
just there yesterday, and we were cooking up something for June. It's actually like a UK garage two-step dance vibe I'm trying to work on. So trying to do
Nice.
some different subgenres of rap this summer. You know, I have a drill track coming out in May, and then that one for June, and then yeah, some other stuff works in the works still.
Yeah, man. And I mean, we've heard you on like, traditional kind of true school boom bap stuff. We've heard you on trap stuff. So yeah, I think you have the diversity to be able to, land on your feet, whatever beat you're going to try to jump onto. Um, I guess so. I also ask people not only how have they been recording, but what's the ideal recording situation look like for you? How close to ideal is, how you do it now? If you won the lottery, what would your recording situation look like?
That's probably be the biggest difference. If I won the lottery, would be like the money. You know, like right now, I constrain myself to the amount of time I can be in the studio because I pay per hour. If
Yeah,
if I just had unlimited resources, I would love to not be restrained by that and just go for like a full 8 hour day and just like be able to sit there, listen to the song, take some time, like go outside for a walk, come back and listen back with fresh ears. Right now, it's more of a, I wouldn't say rushed, but much more like I need to come prepared so that I'm not wasting time just practice bits in the studio or trying to come up with new ideas. It's more about getting the recording that was already set in my mind or on my voice note,
right.
properly executed. So that'd be probably the change that'd be the best for me is just to let that freedom really just be free.
Yeah, all the time in the world. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so, okay, here's something. I was listening back to the newest episode of At Sick from yesterday. I
So
listened through to it today, and I think there were three different guys on there who were talking about how little they care about likes and how fucking lame it is to like care about likes or whatever. And I realized like this is a popular trend right now in independent rap music to be like, you know, too cool for social media, I feel like. And I don't know. I guess like maybe 5 or 10 years ago I kind of felt that way and was like not loving social media as much, but at this point I just look at it as like a tool and like it's it's a beautiful thing that has democratized content distribution so that we don't all have to go through some big rich gatekeeper or whatever, right? So I guess, like, yeah, what would you say to people who are on their tracks talking about, like, you know, you're out there worried about likes or whatever? Like, it's a bar all the time on these guys' songs, man. I'm just kind of like, it seems self-defeating a little bit, you know? You got any reply for people talking like that?
No, 100%. The way you put it was beautiful. Just it's a tool. Like that's really what it is. And when you use it more like that instead of the end all be all, something that's supposed to consume your life, it really changes your perspective. You know, on my phone, I turned off all of the red badge, like that tells you how many notifications you have,
Right.
and actually turned off all the pop-up notifications for social media. So only when I go into the app do I actually see what's going on in the app. So it's more of a concentrated, controlled effort.
Yeah.
And that helps to like just stay off my mind. But I think, man, like I get the idea that like, yeah, it could be kind of like corny or whatever, but I think now more than ever, like with all the different platforms, you have Twitch, you have TikTok, you have YouTube, like you can really just build your audience, like it's not
Yeah.
about like kind of appeal to everybody, or be so picture perfect and all that. Like it's really about like, find your people, find your tribe, your village, and just and rock out with them and build that community with them. And then it won't feel so much like you're chasing likes, or you're trying to do something stunt for the gram or whatever. I think that's where those
Yeah.
bars come from, the people holding the money to their ear and trying to do big things flexing. But
Yeah.
there's
There's
different lanes. There's
definitely
so many different lanes.
a way to do it that's corny as hell, right? But there's a way to do it with like some integrity to it too. And I think that that was one reason that I started doing these interviews or whatever. Was it just as like a way to sit down and have a more authentic conversation? We can go back through and chop out some clips and put the little 30-second sound bites up or whatever, and that's a good way to promo. But it doesn't feel like I'm like prepping myself up and like finding the proper backdrop to take my photo shoot in front of and like to make a 30-second post every day or whatever. Like it just feels a little bit more authentic doing it this way. And I think that if people really kind of like looked at social media, like you just said, there's Twitch, there's all these things, and like Twitch is beautiful for building community. You get people from around the world just like coming by to hang out as you play video games or whatever over here. Like it's really just people come together and support one another. And there's so many people in the world. Yeah, show yourself on camera and somebody's gonna like it. Like get yourself out there. So yeah, dude, I think it's good to create all this content, but it's also good to maintain a level of integrity, which I think you definitely are, or whatever. I wouldn't be talking to you if I didn't think.
Nah, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man. I do want to ask, where do you get beats? Where do you normally find your beats from? Who produces most of your stuff?
So I definitely came up in the game on the YouTube type beat wave, just finding artists through there and then going to their beat stars. But anytime I would do that, I would, at least hit them up on Instagram, try to connect with them and build like a longer relationship. So
Yeah.
through those initial type beats, I've definitely produced some actually even from India, because they were making like Indian style sampled beats, and I was like, oh, I need that. And then got to connect with them and like really stay connected with them. Other than that, I've over the time, just by building a following, I've had a lot of people send me beats, and then if I like it, we build a rapport. And now I would say since last year, I've started to like since Peel Volume One times, I've started to actually work with producers in house and cook up the beats from scratch. It's not my like
Nice.
I'm not as so used to it, I would say, because I'm so used to like going through 50 beats on YouTube and just like figuring out which one I like.
Finding the
But with
perfect
this
one that
process,
inspires you. Yeah.
yeah, but with this process, the songs definitely get more depth and layers, and they really feel more like a song instead of just a loop.
Yeah. I think what you said about building relationships with producers goes a long way too. That's another reason I wanted to start doing this show, was because there's so much talent across the country. There are dope beat makers in every different city. It's just I don't think people in Winnipeg know about the ones in Brampton and vice versa.
Right.
And so like yeah, I try to put together the playlist every week of just Canadian stuff so that other artists can find each other too and reach out and work with each other, because like you said, I think building the relationship is important, and you get a little bit more I mean, even if you're just sending files back and forth, the first song is going to be what it's going to be, but it might build to something more. You might end up making an entire album with the dude if he really likes that first track or whatever. So especially if there's somebody who's local, if there's somebody who is also out in the middle of nowhere trying to find the community and connect with people, I think it can go a long way reaching out to one another. Um, Dude, something I ask absolutely everybody that I've been liking the answers to is, do you get more fulfillment from being on stage, performing, or from recording and writing the songs themselves? Like just from making the art in the first place?
Dang, that's a really good one. I 100% came into music because of lyrics. Like that was always my passion, was the writing, was the lyricism, was the storytelling and the message you could convey. So, every time I'm working on music, like that's for sure my favorite part. And it doesn't come with all the stress that performing and all that does too. But over time, especially as the pandemic eased up, before that, I'd only really done a couple dozen, under 3 dozen performances. But since 2021, like fall till now, I've done like over 80 performances, and it's really changed just the way I like how I do performances, the way I get nervous and anxious about them. It's really reduced, and now I just love it. Love the energy that you can bring, and like it's something so pure about being in the moment, and just creating that space and creating that energy and vibe.
Hell yeah.
So that's a really tough question, man. I think I still probably go writing because that's where my like heart really lies. Has always been in that writing, but man, it's pretty much damn near equal at this point. Like I love performing now.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good answer, man. I think that's probably like the artist that, sorry, the way that successful artists would answer that question is like, you got to get joy from both of it. If you don't like both of it, you probably aren't going to enjoy doing it enough to stick around doing it, I would say. Um, yeah, man. So what does your writing process normally look like? Like if you're, you wake up and it's time to make a new song, are you going to, are you more comfortable kind of writing in like in the studio situation, like as there are people around, kind of waiting for the song to come together? I know some artists like to, sit and chill with their friends as they're coming up with lyrics or whatever, and then there's other guys who just lock in with headphones and pretty much isolate. Where along that spectrum are you?
My preferred way is the headphones and isolate. Just like let me have the time to really dive in. I love to do a lot of like wordplay and entendres and layered meanings in the songs. And I find when I write with people, I've had some big hits come out of the sessions where I've done it with people. My song from Peel Volume 2, Kumar and Kumar, was done like that. Mississauga to Miami for Peel Volume 2 was done like that. So those songs though I find are a bit more just fun, and they have just a certain vibe. If you look at the lyrics and you compare them to some of my more personal or deeper tracks like Village, for example,
Yeah,
there's just a different level of effort I put into the lyrics. Not to say, I mean, it's all subjective, right? The level of enjoyment each song has. Mississauga Miami is my most played song on Spotify, and it probably took us like 2 hours to write the whole thing,
yeah,
or
yeah.
write and record the whole thing. So it's different. I would say that, yeah, the studio vibe for me is more fun, energy, like lighthearted. And if I want, we want to get serious, if I'm in my Nas, Lupe Fiasco bag,
Yeah.
J. Cole bag, I'm gotta sit there and write it.
Hell yeah. So as an artist who's definitely trying to make your living off music, have you ever thought about ghostwriting for people? You got a mean pen game.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to it. Ghostwriting or with credits, like either way, I'd be down, Um, just if people are interested, for sure hit me up. I've done some paid collabs with people who are like starting out. Like if they're someone who I respect and they're actually doing their thing, then I won't charge them. But if it's someone who's brand new or they just out of the blue want to collab and they don't really want to build that relationship like we were talking about earlier,
Yeah,
then I'll
yeah,
charge them a little bag. Writing I haven't done yet, but it's definitely something I'm open to. I remember reading that Joey Badass wrote on Rockstar by Post Malone, and that's why he got like that's his biggest song technically because he has songwriting credits on it. And I'm
okay.
like, that's crazy. Like, I would never think Joey Badass, that song.
There's
And it's just
probably a
like,
lot of that going on in the industry, and I mean, like, it's kind of surprised me even hearing about it happening. I guess maybe more so in like the battle rap circuit, but even at kind of the indie level, there are guys like buying and selling verses to each other. So, yeah, there's a few guys who have wanted to ask about that. You being one of them, thinking this guy might be out there ghostwriting for people.
I wouldn't mind. I'm not yet, but I wouldn't mind. Also, just like, going back to the previous question of writing and performing, like, not
Yeah,
every artist has to like both, right? Like, that's not a rule that you
yeah,
have to be the best performer or the best and the best writer. You could be one or the other. So if people don't want to write, like, there's nothing wrong with that. I know in hip hop is definitely frowned upon in terms of like verses in that, but
Yeah.
to each their own.
Hey, here's a question. How about what if you're an artist who doesn't like doing shows? You think you could still make it?
In this day and age,
It's something I've pondered a little bit. Like, does the internet, with the internet what it is right now,
I
does
think,
getting out and
yeah,
doing local shows matter as much as it used to? I don't know.
you know what? Like me, kind of almost 2 years since since I've been doing a lot of these local shows. A lot of the artists I've seen actually get the numbers and streaming numbers. They've really been getting it through TikTok and online, and not through the local shows. A lot of the people that I see doing the local shows staying local. It's kind of reality. And I think, yeah, now I think there is a big possibility to blow up without doing shows. I mean, even with things like Twitch and other live
Yeah.
stream opportunities, you can like not leave your room. There's a popular artist here from Toronto named Akintoye, and he pretty much all his TikToks are just crazy raps, but from his bedroom. He's just got on his bonnet and he's just sitting there and he's just rapping crazy bars, but people love it because that's what worked for his audience. And I think if
Yeah.
you can make it work, it can work.
Yeah, out here in Alberta, there's an artist named Thug Shells based in Edmonton, and yeah, she does the same thing. Twitch streams where she's freestyling to triple digits of any time I've come through there. She's got an audience
Right.
watching. So I mean, yeah, I think there is a way to do it, but at the same time, she's out doing festival shows and shit too. So I think
Right.
ideally you'd be doing both, but it's something that's kind of crossed my mind is like maybe it's not necessary anymore.
Yeah, I think you do need to present yourself in some way though, either live stream or content or live. Like you can't be
Right, just
mysterious
release
completely.
songs and yeah,
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 exactly, exactly.
have no presence anywhere. Yeah.
Exactly.
So speaking of having presence places, I've seen you out on the street, like talking to people in videos and like getting them, to react as you play your music and stuff. And all the videos you post, like everything goes well. I just wanted to ask, like, are there bloopers where like that doesn't go well? Because I mean that's a nerve wracking thing to do, and it feels like there would be some sort of negative reaction that could be possible. Has anybody reacted negatively to you out on the street like that?
Honestly, so far, if they just reject, like they just don't engage in the conversation at all, like if they don't want to. So that's mainly been the thing, is most people just ignore us and don't actually stop for the conversation.
Yeah.
Once they stop, they're pretty much hooked in. And I think, like, I'm not 100% sure, but I think with the camera and thing there, like people, I don't know, they might just not want to like be put on blast as like a dick or whatever. So it's like
Yeah.
it's a little different. But there's been a few people who just like have lame reactions or like no reaction, but like even them, I don't know, maybe it's Canada vibes. Like they're just nice. They're like, oh yeah, cool, cool, and they just move on. Like they don't want to like diss it or whatever.
Right.
So that's kind of been the worst. I would say no one yet has really like ripped the song or anything. Luckily, but honestly, I wouldn't be mad because I think that'd be some fire
Make some
content.
good content. Yeah, I was gonna say, will we
Man,
get a bloopers reel? Yeah, yeah. So I always ask everybody, like, this is kind of a two-parted question. Do you buy music? And then what's the best way for people to support musicians who they like?
Honestly, I never really grew up buying music, and to this day, I still don't. And one thing I've kind of more consciously thought about is like, yo, if I don't buy music, like, how can I support the artist that I like? And
Yeah.
my kind of idea behind that is I want to always go to at least one show of each artist I like and buy one piece of merch from the artist I like. So I mean, that can be a two in one if you buy it at the concert. And
Yeah.
so that's kind of been the way that I think about it, is if like I download or like I save some guy's album, it's like, okay, this guy, I gotta make sure go to his show at some point, and then check online, check for his store, see if they got any merch out, and then buy that, because I think those kind of are the most direct ways that go to the artist.
Yeah.
Of course, besides buying a CD or album, it's just for me. I'm not much of a collector like that, and yeah, I haven't tapped in that way. But I think those two other ways are still pretty viable.
Fair enough, yeah. And I mean, I do tell people buy digital music too, even if it's 99 cents for a single or whatever. That shit makes a difference just to motivate an independent artist. I mean, it's maybe not going to pay the light bill or whatever, but I think it still goes away just to see that there are people out there who are willing to support in that way. I mean, streams are good too, but yeah, word of mouth, all that stuff goes a long ways too. Tell a friend if you like somebody's music. Um, this I'm going to leave really open ended for you. You could answer it about Brampton specifically or about, the GTA or however. But I ask everybody, just describe your local hip hop scene.
Okay, so for Brampton, it's not really connected yet. Like I was saying earlier, there's a lot of talented artists and some of the biggest artists that actually came out of Brampton, Roy Woods, Tory Lanez, Alessia Cara, Jesse Reyes. These are all people who Toby, like these are Havaya Mighty, these are all people who are based out of Brampton. And, you know, on a global stage, they're more known as Toronto artists. And it's because
I
Brampton's
thought
kind of just
I thought
a
Toby was from Ottawa. Isn't doesn't Toby
even
rep
damn, even
Ottawa?
further.
All right,
Yeah,
all right.
Toby's from Brampton. Sincerely, Toby.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right.
yeah, he's from Brampton. Yeah, it's crazy. And him and Tory Lanez have an old video when they were battle rapping in high school. He used to go by Tech Rhymes. Toby did.
Okay.
Yeah, it's up on YouTube. You can watch it. But anyways, the reason is it's just a suburb. It's like it's kind of a commuter city. Everyone's there to sleep, but they work somewhere else in Toronto or whatever. And there's no venues. There's no community hub. Trying to change that. Some other up and coming artists were trying to change that. I recently got named a Brampton Artist Ambassador along with some other people like Director X, Havaya Mighty, Rupi Kaur, some other people in
So
other
hold
art
up.
scenes.
Can we pause that? Wait, Brampton Artist Ambassador named by the city, named
City of
by.
Brampton, yeah.
Okay, cool. So what does that entitle? How did that come about?
Yeah, so they reached out in the fall last year, just basically saying, they've seen me really push for the culture of Brampton and the art scene here, and they're reaching out to a bunch of creatives to dub them that title. And under that, we're gonna, sort of work together to
Promote the
further
scene.
improve the arts and culture of the scene. So they're giving
Cool.
us opportunities to create classes, workshops, host events, and different things. So I have some visual artist friends who are hosting galleries. They host trips to the museum. We have like an art gallery here, trips to the art gallery where they like do the tour. And for me, I'm hosting free monthly open mics every month here in the city for all ages, all experience levels to come out and get some performance experience. Because right now, most of us, we go to Toronto to get open mic shows and performances,
Yeah.
performance opportunities. So just bringing it back to Brampton, because if you don't have a car, like from Brampton to Toronto, easily can take an hour and a half to 2 hours or more, depending where you go each way. So,
Dude, major props for doing those nights. I've been, this is I think the 26th interview I've talked to artists across Canada or something like that, and like so many of them just say that like, no, there aren't really nights like that. I don't really fuck with that. Um, and I think it's like such an important way to like foster new talent and build community with the existing talent and just meet people and make those connections that boost people's careers, because a lot of the time it's not the artist who's the most talented, it's the artist who shook the right hand at the right time, or knew the right people, and built those relationships up to a point where they're the call. When it's time to make the call, they're the person who gets it, and that's how they get those gigs. And so I think it's super important. And I've seen your social posts about being out there at libraries or wherever it is you're holding those things at. It looked
yeah,
like,
to the library, yeah.
yeah, right. Which is like one of the last public spaces left. So props to the library for being there and letting you do it too. We got to support public spaces because, again, that's an important way to build community. And if the only places to perform are looking for, a big name artist coming through town, and then there might be some openers for it or whatever, like that's kind of what big venues have to do in order to keep the doors open and pay everybody and keep the lights on. They've got to be moving a lot of tickets, so they can't really take that risk with the open mic night or whatever. But yeah, it's an important thing. And like, I loved open mic nights in Edmonton 10 years ago or whatever. Like, I think it's important for people to get out there and go to those things, and especially for established artists like yourself, or more established artists like yourself, to be out there and show face at them as well, because some guys kind of, I don't know, disappear as soon as like they think that they're popping or whatever from that community. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, man.
And just on that note, just for people who don't really think the open mic scene's worth it or whatever, a few months back in Toronto, they have an open mic every Tuesday at this place called OBJX. And Hannibal Burris is actually into rapping now. And he just showed up because he found the open mic on Eventbrite. He just
So
hung around all night. And then the list was actually full, but because he's Hannibal Burris, we let him go on at the end. And then everyone was like, yo, this is like a moment, like it
yeah,
was crazy. And it's just like, I mean, if he's coming to practice, like, why aren't you?
hell yeah, man, definitely. I think the strongest local communities have those nights, so it's good to hear that there is that going on out there. Is there anything else you need to promote, man? I don't want to keep you too long. We're over 45 minutes now or whatever. Do you got any shows coming up or anything like that?
Yeah, for sure. So I got Desi Fest, which is another word for South Asian. They have a festival every year in the summer here in Toronto. They're doing their first ever hip hop night. So it's actually they're expanding the festival into multiple days. They're doing their first ever hip hop night. That's June 2nd
So
in Toronto. You can find the information on my Instagram, which is at Spitty95, SPITTY 95. I'm actually also potentially getting booked for a festival in New York, but it's not fully confirmed yet, so I don't want to say.
best
And
of
then I'll be
luck.
back. Yeah, and then I'll be back for a festival in Vaughan in August, Vaughan International Music Festival. So trying to do one festival June, July, and August. Keep the momentum going. Doing a song a month this year, so look out for that every month. And yeah, keeping it going.
Song a month. Here's a question that I've thought about asking people and haven't actually, but you're a good person to ask this one too. Is there such a thing as oversaturation for an artist in 2023? Can you be oversaturated? Is a weekly drop a good thing for an artist to be doing?
I've thought about that because a lot of people when I tell them the one song a month thing, they reference Russ. People also say I look like Russ. I get that one a lot, but Russ used to do the one song a week, and he blew up like that. For me, that was a SoundCloud era. It was just a little different the game
Yeah,
because I think with that he wasn't doing content around the songs. The songs themselves were actually just blowing. I don't think he was doing reels or videos on those songs. They were just
right.
songs. Now you need to create your own content, get your audience to create user generated content, and it takes a bit of time for that momentum to go pre-release and post-release. So that's why I'm not doing a week, a month, even a month might be a little too much. But for me personally, it's just keeping me on this like constant rotation. And I'm still pushing Not For Me, which dropped in January. I'm still pushing Up Now, which dropped in March. So it's like
Yeah,
almost every song is just getting added to this like snowball of like new music.
yeah,
So for me, yeah, 1 month is like right there. Anything more than that, it's really tricky to promote. And I think that's the hard thing is how do you promote it? Because if you're posting daily content, like you gotta just I don't know, you gotta figure out a way to obviously the audience is getting a lot thrown at them, but it needs to be cohesive. Like they need to
yeah.
understand that new music's coming out and they're not seeing like the same thing over and over again.
If it's every week, it does become a lot. There are some artists who I follow who do the every week thing, and I still listen to the tracks or whatever, but they tend to blend together a little bit more, I think, than and I have noticed that like artists like you will promote a single for a little bit longer, and I think that's probably a smart move right now, man. Um, but yeah, dude, I was looking forward to having this conversation with you. I appreciate you coming by to do this. I think you've given some perspectives that are a long ways off of kind of I've been talking to a lot of 30 somethings who are dope as fuck, but they're doing hip hop just from a place of like wanting to rap. Like the where it goes from there is something that they don't really concern themselves with so much. Um, and I think there's a mixture of both of those things can be very valid. And there's dope music coming from people who are trying to push it, and there's dope music coming from people who aren't. I try to take it all and mix it together on After the Smoke Is Clear, and appreciate hearing different perspectives from different people, man.
Much love for the platform and the conversation, bro, and always appreciate you spinning the records, keeping them on rotation.
Hell yeah, I'll keep
Truly
it up, man.
appreciate it.
I'll keep it up. And people should go, I don't know, cop Peel Volume 3. Do you do Bandcamp? Do you have a Bandcamp
Yeah, I
or?
post everything on Bandcamp. I leave it as pay what you want just for people, but
Yeah,
pay what you want. Exactly.
that's a good way to do it. That's the same way I do my music on Bandcamp is pay what you want. If you want to support, do it. If you want to just take it and enjoy the music, then please do that. And tell a friend as you enjoy the music. But
Yeah, for sure, for
hell
sure.
yeah, man. All right, it's been nice talking to you. I'm gonna shut this thing down, and yeah, I'll catch you later, dude.
Appreciate you. Peace.
Peace. All right. So that was Brampton's MC extraordinaire Spitty, Spitty. I'll put his Instagram handle and stuff like that on when I re-upload this video once it's edited nice. Just edit it for sound or whatever. That'll be that. And appreciate people for coming by, hanging out. If people ever do have questions, feel free to jump in and put them in chat. And also, if you enjoy supporting local hip hop and independent artists, make sure you check out After the Smoke Is Clear. You can find it mixcloud.com/Doobyis. There's an award that I won for the second season of it. The third season is currently nominated by the NCRA for the best rap program across the country. And fingers crossed on that one. But I'm going to keep making this whether I'm winning awards or not. I'm having a lot of fun talking to artists. It was a lot of fun talking to Spitty today. Appreciate y'all.